everyone. Welcome to this episode of BookSmarts Authors on Show, a creation of Clarissa Burt, founder of In the Limelight Media, and I am your host, Cristina Francy. And today I am thrilled to be interviewing Dr. Fatima Bustos-Choy, who has over 30 years of corporate business management and organizational consulting experience. She has effectively designed and facilitated leadership development programs for major corporations such as Citibank, IBM, Wells Fargo, Raytheon, Merck Pharmaceutical, and Leap Incorporation. She is a graduate of California Institute of Integral Studies, with a doctoral degree in transformative learning and change, and is a respected and sought-out facilitator and trainer. Her new book, More Than Money, 5 Paths to Abundance and Success for Inner-Centered Entrepreneurs, is available on Amazon, and we are so excited to dive into the topic today. Thank you so much for coming onto the show. Tell me a little bit more about your background and how you got to where you are today.
Great. Thank you, Cristina, for having me on your show. It's truly a delight for me to be here and to meet your audience and share with them a little bit about myself. I am, as you mentioned, in terms of my corporate background, in terms of my professional background, but if I can share a little bit about my personal background, and that is I came to the United States as an immigrant from the Philippines right after graduating from college. And I came, like most, Filipinos who are here, seeking to fulfill the American dream. Yeah, and what that is really the idea of making our lives better, not just for ourselves in my case, but mainly for my family. Being the firstborn of 5 children, I felt it was my duty to provide for my family a better life and so forth. And so that's really the reason why I came to the United States, is to in search of the American dream. Oh. And it was really more, it was a shock, of course, when I discovered how different it is, how vast the United States. And then, of course, getting into my first job interview, not being accepted at first because of my accent. And for some reason, maybe I was too naive at that time, but I just stood there in front of the hiring manager and said, "So can I ask why you wouldn't?" And that's when he said, "Because of my accent." And I said, can you understand me? And he said, "Yes. And I understand you. So what is the problem?" And he called 2 other senior managers to interview me. And you know what? I got the job. And so it was my very first experience of corporate life, of the differences in this world versus my former world. But that taught me a lot, Cristina. It taught me a lot about purpose, which of course is the start of my book. Purpose, my mission for coming here, and to persevere until that mission is accomplished. And so that very first experience of, in a way, at first rejection, taught me to be strong, taught me to persevere, and taught me the value of having a purpose, of having a mission, because that's what carried me through a lot of other challenges. That was just the first. But throughout my career, throughout the search for my own, who am I? Why am I here? What do I really want? That first experience gave me the stepping stone. And I look back at that experience going forward, and it helped me a great deal to truly become the person I was meant to be and the person that I am today.
No, I love that. Because sometimes, like, in a situation like that, people would normally kind of like like be insecure with themselves and not, be bold and strong and be like, well, you can understand me, I can understand you. What's the problem? And I think that shows a lot of character and, like you said, boldness and strength. And, you're not going to give up on yourself and cower it away because you're like, I know I can do this job, and I'm meant to be doing this. And, take a second look at me. I am here and I am qualified and I am ready and able.
Yes,
So
yes.
so you've had some personal struggles and challenges in your life and work. You sought to help of several spiritual leaders and teachers who gave you profound teachings and guided you and helped you in your daily life, business, relationships, and all the above in creating a meaningful life. What were your most important lessons you learned from your
Mhm.
spiritual teachers that kind of helped shape you to who you are today?
That's one of my kind of pivotal stories in my life. The first one, of course, is the one I shared with you. But there came a time, Christina, when I felt that I have achieved what I've been working towards, and that was, um, a senior management position at a 400 company. Uh, I had a corner office. I traveled a lot and a lot of perks, a lot of recognition. And on the surface, on paper, even to myself, I felt, oh, this is what I've been working for. This is why I struggled so much, and I'm finally here, and I've finally achieved a lot of these things after so many years. However, what followed were days of, like, I felt like I was just a robot.
Mm-hmm.
I felt I didn't have any emotions. So I actually was more numb. I was just going through the motions. I was flying to from Los Angeles to the Bay Area, at first Oakland and then San Francisco every week.
Mm.
And there came a time out of 8 years, with the organization, 5 of those 8 years, I was traveling every week. Monday, I would fly up, come back Friday. And at the time, I was a single mom and I was raising my one and only son. And so it was truly, it was grueling. It was
Yeah.
grueling. And then I felt, why am I doing this for? What is this all about? Why do I still feel so empty inside?
Yeah.
Why does it feel like my soul is dying? And it really was. And so I really was in search of spirituality, because I felt the material aspect was there, but it did not really fulfill my spiritual needs, my soul needs. And fortunately, I was invited to a I was invited to a talk. And this talk was by a Mayan shaman in Los Angeles.
Mm-hmm.
And it became kind of the opening of the recognition that I needed spiritual help. And so I went on some other sessions. In my book, I talk about the pilgrimage to Honduras to participate in a Mayan shaman ceremony. I studied with a spiritual teacher whose main focus was connecting to energy. And then the last spiritual teacher, oh, and then I studied with another spiritual teacher on the I Ching. So, and then there were times when I just felt so alone.
Yeah.
There is something about being so lonely at the top. I mean, it's not like I was at that pinnacle, but I couldn't. I needed somebody to talk to about the struggles I was having as a director. But in the corporate world, at least at that time, and I think even to this day, of course, there's politics. Of course,
Yeah.
there's all of these things, and it's hard trust, and to be vulnerable.
Yeah.
And so I sought the help of one couple of particular spiritual teachers, and I would, like once a month, I would have coaching with them. In fact, once a month, I flew to New Mexico to meet with Howard Badhand. And he taught me ways to look at my problems, my corporate problems, from a spiritual perspective.
Mm-hmm.
And that helped me a lot to not get so caught up in not only in the politics, but not get so caught up on the uh, organizational, challenges, but to rise above that and to connect with that inner voice. So what did I learn? First and foremost, I learned about my inner voice, and that I always felt it. I always had this very strong connection to it, but I must admit, I did not always trust it. I must admit that I always looked to the outside for validation of what I was feeling inside. And so from the spiritual teachers, I learned to listen to my inner voice and to trust and follow, even against all odds. Yeah. And so I learned that. And then I learned also that all around us is energy, and that our physicality is only one aspect of that. But we have been so conditioned to believe that we as human beings are only humans, but we're more than human beings, We are divine human beings. And so I learned how to tap into that and to always look to that for my guidance, especially when things were tough, and especially when, like, I felt like I couldn't figure it out. Then I would come back to my inner self. And then the third is, at the later part of my own spiritual journey and professional journey, is the latest of all the teachers, is learning the connection, the integration of mind, body, soul, and energy. Yeah. And then I began to connect with my physical body as truly an instrument of my soul. And that is much of what I share in my book, More Than Money, is that there are exercises. So all of the teachings from the previous teachers, they were all integrated into this whole, holistic approach to life.
Oh, no, I love that. We are like more than just human beings. We are very spiritual. We do have energy that like exudes off of us. And you're right. So many people are programmed and conditioned to think that there's nothing else to us besides walking around, eating, talking, and just seeing what we see in the physical world. But there really is like a whole other dimension that we can't see. And we are, programmed and a little dumbed down sometimes to really know what our powers are. And we're way more connected to the universe than we believe. And I love that whole like holistic approach of like connecting with your body, because if there's things going on in your world, like you were kind of saying, you're just living life day by day, and you kind of shut it off in your mind, it's going to show up in your body somehow. You're going to have some type of physical reaction or develop a disease, because your body's at disease. Like, so it's all connected. They say that like your gut is like your second brain, and it's listening to that. And so many people, like you said, like trusting that inner voice. There's so many people that don't trust that inner voice. And, I'm one of them. I'm trying to be better, but trusting yourself and knowing that, you're going to be taken care of, is probably the hardest thing I think for us to do sometimes. But yes. I'm pretty sure once you started doing that, you were like, wow, couldn't believe like the results that I got from actually, you know, tapping in and really listening and moving forward and not doubting myself.
Yes, yes. And the thing that I think is fascinating is that our inner voice talks to us all the time, all the time. In fact, even in the smallest of things, and this just happened a couple of days ago, and um, there, was the situation where I felt something. I felt something inside of me, and I thought, I'm going to just go for that and follow it. And sure enough, I would probably say, sure enough, my inner voice was correct. And then, so what I do is, thank you so much. I just talk to my inner voice too and say, thank you for guiding me. I like so believe in you. And just that acknowledgement, that to say, thank you. I know you were right. I know. Thank you for guiding me. Even those in really small, seemingly small incidents, but that's how we can truly develop that relationship with our inner voice, and get that inner voice to become stronger and more powerful, and so then trust it more, and it guides us even more. And I think that given our unprecedented challenges in today's world at all levels, at all levels. And I work with a lot of people, Cristina, because as a leadership development consultant, so I work with organizations, I work with managers, I work with their employees, and then I have my own one-on-one coaching with people. And what I'm finding is that there is a trend where I think people intuitively are now seeing that the information that they kind of sought in the past to guide them are no longer adequate. They're finding that those conventional, logical, in fact, even logical solutions are inadequate. And look at what's happening in the corporations. Look at what's happening with the Great Resignation that turned into the Great Regret, and now it's the quiet quitting. All these phenomenon. In just the last not even 2 years, that corporations are faced with these challenges. Maybe they've been there all along, but now they truly are exacerbated and more pronounced. And leaders are looking to the past in terms of conventional ways of dealing with these challenges, but they're not working.
No, because it's the Great Awakening. Everyone's awakening to themselves and knowing that like there's more to it. And then, kind of like with COVID, like people were inside a lot. Like people had a lot of time to reflect on themselves and look around at their environment and be like, there has to be more. Like things slowed down. Yes, it was very hard on so many families, but it also made people have like light bulb moments on like, what am I even doing? Like, what is this? Like, I'm just like a hamster in the hamster wheel. Like, we're still slaves to, just the corporations and the government still. And we're just living in this hamster wheel, like thinking that we're free, but we're not. Because if we were truly free, we would be having that spiritual free will and like doing the things that are outside of the box and not so structured and logical, like you were saying. So you brought up like a really good point about that.
Yes. And so if I may just, much of these, what I call phenomena and also trends, but they are real, and they give us an opportunity to look at ourselves in a deeper way. It's not always easy. It's actually painful in many ways. And this is why this is why we have not been able to go inside of us, because it is painful. It's a lot of work, and it makes us accountable. And
Yeah,
so for us, if we listen to somebody else and it doesn't work, it's easy to blame that source. Uh,
exactly.
and so that's why I think that, uh, our conditioning is such that we look outside of us instead of inside of us. We
Mhm.
haven't really been trained to do that.
No, well, we have so many distractions, like the social media things, like when there's time to ourselves, like we're just focused on our phone and we're always busy and being distracted. And that we can't look inside and think when we have distractions, we got the TV on, we got our phones, we got, our kids or whatever's going on, so it's
Yes.
important to take that time.
Yes, and now is the good time because we just finished a year of, I'm sure, a lot of wins, but also a lot of challenges. And I would say, how do you want to end the year? In just a few days, 2022 will be, part of history, but how are you looking into 2023? What are you envisioning for yourself? And
Mhm.
how might you truly change? How might you, what is it that you want to transform to? And in my book, More Than Money, which the title came from one of my entrepreneur interviewees who was struggling a lot. And she said, Fatima, being in business is more than money. And that touched me. And it's true, because most entrepreneurs, you don't have to be an entrepreneur. Why do you work? Why do you have a job? What's the first response?
Mhm.
Is it has to do with money, right? It has to do with, I have to live, I have to have a home, I have children, I have this, which then boils to money. But then when then you realize it's not just about money. I definitely had that realization when I was in the corporate world, as I shared. But then people don't know how to find what is more than their money.
Yeah.
And this is why I offer the 5 paths, the path of purpose, like, why are you here? And again, I look to my own story. I look at the story of my mother and the stories of other entrepreneurs that I interviewed. But purpose is truly pivotal in our lives. And it is the one thing that now, as we go into 2023, it's like reconnecting. What is my purpose?
Yeah.
And how have I lived my purpose this year? And how might I live it next year? And then the second one is the path of passion. What is it that gives me joy? What is it that's going to carry me over the threshold? Because purpose sometimes can truly be long, can be tough. And then the path of pain is something that is integral to life. No pain, no gain.
Yeah.
And I truly, I so believe in that. And then if we go through pain instead of numbing pain, or suppressing pain, or denying pain, when we go through it, we actually get to the path of promise. And that is what's at the other side of the rainbow.
Mhm.
And from there offers the path of possibilities. So I offer the 5 paths for people to truly connect with their inner voice. And as we welcome a new year, um, to have that sense of, how am I growing? How am I transforming? And what do I need, to get there, to be the best version of who I was meant to be. And so I offer also the principles. I offer practices, like, mind body exercises in the book. So people can do things, by themselves, with themselves, anytime, anywhere, and be equipped to truly move towards the best person that each of us are meant to be.
I love it. No, I love that. It's so It's perfect for, like you said, ending the new year and just sitting back and reflecting on yourself. And, like you said, no pain, no gain. And you have to go through that. And on the other side, the rainbow is promise and reward. And, it's totally worth all that. And, passion is what's going to keep you going, because like you said, purpose can be long, and, sometimes you can have doubts in your purpose. So you got to have that passion to keep you going. It's kind of like the coal to fuel the fire.
Yes,
Um,
absolutely. Yes.
so do you have like a role model that kind of helps keep you on track, to stay focused on all of those 5 purposes and, just reconnect with yourself?
Thank you for that question, Christina, because yes, I do. And it is my mom, my mother,
Aw.
and she's I wrote about her in the book pretty much throughout. And what's interesting is I'm the firstborn, as I had shared earlier. And I always loved my mom. I always a dutiful daughter. Always loved my parents, and of course. But I didn't realize the depth. And I think this is one of the best gifts of writing the book, is the depth of my mother's love for us,
Yeah.
and the depth of my love for my mom. It was
Yeah.
such a beautiful, it was because my mom passed 2 years ago, and it was at the time of COVID.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that.
And in 2020, actually before COVID, I think COVID came to the US around March 2020.
Yeah.
And April, I was talking to her FaceTime, and she had a stroke
Mm.
while I was talking to her.
Oh my God. I
So
couldn't even imagine.
so her facial expression will always be embedded in my mind. Anyway, fast forward, I could not go home. She was in the Philippines. I'm here in the US. I couldn't go home because of COVID restrictions. So April, May, June, by July, I finally got to go home, because I knew it was the last time I would see her. And that trip alone was like every single day. I was on the phone with the airlines. Oh, plane canceled. Oh, embassy. It was truly an arduous undertaking just to go home to
Yeah.
see my mom. But it was meant to be. I knew it was the last time I would see her, and but she's my role model,
Yeah.
because and there's a chapter in the book where I kind of summarize the 5 paths and how my mother embodied those. Of course, she was not aware of it. She just lived her life the best way she could as a mom and as a businesswoman. And it was really through her channeling that I, in a way, dedicated the book to entrepreneurs, because she was my first teacher as an entrepreneur. When she opened her own business, I was by her side. I was like not even 12 years old. So child labor. she, she put me to work, but I learned a lot about customer service, customer experience, uh, just focusing on your goal and going through a lot of struggles, but that at the same time fulfilling your passion. So yes, so she is my role model. I look to her a lot for inspiration and encouragement. And even though she's gone, I know that she's always looking after me and after my siblings. Uh, and hers is, yeah, yeah. I learned so much from her, Christina.
No,
And
that's so beautiful.
yeah, and I think it's so helpful for each of us to have somebody to
Yeah.
be your it could be a former mentor. I mean, I have a lot of role models, and I'm grateful and lucky in that respect. But my one go-to is my mom.
Yeah, there's always something about those mama relationships, for sure. Yeah, those deep connections. But no, I love that. That's a great, beautiful answer. So I
And
know you.
I'm also a mom, so I'm kind of uh, channeling what I learned from my mom, both what to do and what not to do. It's the both sides,
Mhm.
and also really work towards having that kind of meaningful relationship with my one and only son. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I'm a mom to two boys, so we're mama boys.
Absolutely.
Um, so Fatima, Dr. Fatima, that was like amazing. Thank you so much for coming on. And I know that you have some events coming up. Would you like to let the audience know about some of the things that you have going on in the near future?
Yes, 2023 will truly be a wonderful and exciting year, as I'm, looking forward to it. I will be leading a women's retreat in 2023, one or two at this point in time. I do have online classes, and actually, I will be launching an online version of More Than Money. Uh, and yes, and I just, we're just finished with the editing, and the online course provides more than what I could write in the book. So I think it'll be a good way to supplement and complement the book, as well as coaching. And so I'm involved in a lot of nonprofit organizations as well, Christina. And so I do, a lot of pro bono teaching engagements, especially on holistic wellness and mental health and so forth. So there's a number of that coming down the pike, starting in January, with both professional corporate classes as well as online classes, and for nonprofit organizations that I support.
Awesome. And you can get the book, you can find it on Amazon, and can you find it anywhere else, or is it just on Amazon?
Primarily on Amazon for now, and it became an Amazon bestseller when it was first released back in May. And so, yeah, please, avail yourselves of the book, and maybe a gift, to your to your to the people you love. Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for coming on, and thank you everyone for listening to this episode of BookSmarts Authors on Show, and I hope to see you guys all in the next one.
Thank you. And thank you, Christina, so much for this interview and being part of your show. Have a wonderful rest of the year and all the wonders of 2023.
Thank you so much.